much.
Welcome. Now, Doctor, can you please explain to us what a single currency would mean for East Africa?
I think what a single currency would mean is that they will be carrying, in essence, the same kind of money if we put it in paper form or in coin form, and they don't need to go through what we call the exchange rate transaction to be able to do the business among the member countries.
Now, participating countries each have to meet macroeconomic criteria such as inflation targets and debt. Do you think that this is possible to attain?
Very much so, and I think, let me give you a little bit of a brief what has happened the last 2 years, actually less than a year. If you look at it, the growth in East African countries, Tanzania is kicking at about 80%. The average growth rate is above 6%. That translates with a simple analysis that the GDP could easily double in about 10 years. In other words, whatever they are holding now, we use what we call the 70 rule number. Divide 70 by the growth rate, it gives you the duration to which the GDP could double. Now, having said that, if you look at what has happened, and this is what the president said when he was here, the Kenyan president, he said, I quote, between March this year and November this year, it used to take a truck from Mombasa to Rwanda, Kigali, carrying goods, 28 days. It used to take 15 days from Mombasa to Kampala. Now, within a span of 4 months, they have changed that to from 28 to 8 days and from 15 to 5 days. You know why? They simply said, you don't have to have customs every border you go. Secondly, he said, I quote, any member from Uganda, Rwanda, into Kenya and out doesn't need a passport. Unfortunately, Uganda did not have an ID. All you need is your local ID. The president said, we asked them, but they have voting card. That's all we need. In other words, people are already moving without boundaries. And I think that's a move that we should credit them for.
Now, the monetary union is designed to result in the free movement of those goods that you said, and also workers for that matter, and capital within those 5 countries. But the combined population of about 135 million, to take that in consideration, this makes a huge block of people and, of course, for consumer goods to be distributed in that particular area. So that would indicate that there is potential for something like this to happen.
All else equal, what we are also seeing is that when people are integrated, there is a huge growth of the middle income bracket, particularly in Kenya and Uganda. And because the consumer spending will be high, they will access goods without necessarily checking how much does it cost in Kenya shillings, how much does it cost in francophone, whatever currency they use, and therefore it will be each and every institution, when they go to monetary union, they are trying to fast track. And therefore, the velocity of money itself would tend to be quickly creating opportunities faster than if they were not integrated.
But this brings me to my next question. How will this monetary union distribute the profits accumulated in these countries?
I think that's, well, of course, given the resources we are seeing, we are also seeing that there is a lot of crude oil, a lot of coal coming out, a lot of what we call natural gas. So there will be pockets that will be picking faster growth rate than others. The question is, how do we harmonize that so that the benefit get across? And actually they are literally working on that. Let me also say something that came out actually a month ago. The rate at which East Africa, people accessing finance, we call it formally financial institution, has grown from 32% 2006 to over 62.3%. So we are seeing huge growth, and we are saying that people have realized that they need to be able to access financial facilities and institutions faster. Secondly, let's call what we already know. The world is watching East Africa to provide technology on what we call mobile banking. In actual fact, World Bank students fly to Nairobi to learn how to do what we call mobile. You don't need to go to the bank anymore. You need to use your laptop, your cell phone to do all the banking transaction. That originated from Kenya. So this will be exploding across the whole of Eastern Africa. And I think I would urge you, everybody, to come and try to see what these people are doing. My only hope I repeat, is that Africa needs to say, as we are growing, how do we manage not to create this inequality, because the inequality is the greatest danger that East Africa seems to face.
Mm-hmm. But there is security issues in Africa. Do you think that with a monetary union like this, that everything will just go away?
Put it this way. In 1999, there were 13 civil wars in Africa, badly one, meaning Angola, Somalia, Sierra Leone, you name it. Today, we have maybe 2. That is Congo, DRC, and what we see in the new one in Central African Republic. Mm-hmm. I hope this is not going to be managed. If you go further to 1989 prior, the country had more than 24 civil war. Mm-hmm. So we are seeing changes in Africa people are not talking about. Let me give you another statistics. In 1999, we barely had 3 retired presidents in the whole of Africa, about 4 or 5 maximum. Mm-hmm. Today, they are in excess of 20, and the numbers are changing. You can count more than 6 countries in Africa with 2 retired presidents with a current incumbent. Mm-hmm. How much more can we accommodate and accept that there is a lot of positive democratic change that we are watching?
Will the East African countries be a model for an African currency one day?
I would want not to go that far because we are seeing a lot of problem in the European Union itself. So we got to be guarded by how do we manage it. We got to be guarded. Trust me. The problem we have, you cannot have monetary union without also political integration. Mm-hmm. You see, the two become very challenging. The question is, how do we manage to make sure that we complement the monetary union with more or less the same political dispensation? Because the moment you have a country with ultra-dictatorial leadership is part of the union, a country with less democratic pluralism, it will cause a lot of tension. So I'm hoping they are aware of that.
Doctor, thank you so much for joining us here in studio.
Most welcome.
Great. That was Dr. Karungu. He's joined us in studio, Economist Dr. Peter Karungu, telling us about that particular currency for the East African countries.